Patrick Cook here. So welcome to session number 12 of Fun with Mandelbulb Mutations. In the previous session, I was showing you or demonstrating this generation history. This is pretty cool stuff, and I think you probably got a sense for just what we can do with this. All right, but let me review it just to make sure that you're really clear about the value of the generation history. Now, just as a recap, you remember now that I had gone all the way back to generation 2 right here. All right, generation 2, I had double-clicked on that. When I double-clicked on it, it made it the base mutation, increased the generation count, and began mutating. All right, so let's go back to there. Okay, there's my base, generation 5. Generation 5, that became my base. That was all the way back to generation 2. It immediately started mutating, and I've got new mutations based upon this base mutation. All right, now, what this means is that I was able to, using the MutaGen tool, I was able to extend a generation. Let's go back to generation 2. This is generation 2. All right, I double-clicked on that, and I made that the base of the next generation of 5, and that further mutated. So this history allows me to extend a generation branch and to follow, here's the key sentence here, to actually extend a mutation as far out as I want. So a generation basically doesn't have to be just 3 mutations, 1, 2, 3. It could actually be 4, 5, 6 mutations. And I could double click on this too and begin the whole process all over again. So this now becomes, this will be, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 generations. All right, so this generation history and the ability for me to double click on any of these mutations, make it the base, allows me to be able to extend this generation branch is just as far out as I want to go. I could go 100 generations if I wanted to. So that is the power of the generation history. It allows you to be able to continue a generation mutation branch as far out as you want. And the whole idea behind utilizing the MutaGen in that manner is for you to be able to discover Mandelbulb graphics that you probably would not have otherwise have discovered making manual entries up in your formulas. You probably would not have ever have reached that number of modifications and or mutations if you had done it manually. So that's what I mean when I say that the whole idea of the MutaGen is to fast track your creativity and your productivity, and use the MutaGen to basically test formula constructs based upon your options, to test the formula constructs that you normally and probably would not have ever have discovered if you tried to modify your formulas and your parameters manually. Okay? All right, so to fast track your productivity and your creativity. as opposed to doing all this stuff manual. Okay. All right. So that puts us in pretty good condition. I think you better understand what this generation history is. And I think maybe, hopefully, I've explained how you can leverage this history for your creativity, which essentially means that you are able to continue the generation of mutations even in previous generation mutation runs. All right, the next thing we want to talk about is the strength over here. All right, so let's do this. Let's cancel these mutations. All right, and I'm going to disable all. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear all these generations. Yeah, let's clear everything. So we have no generations. Let's pull this guy down into MutaGen. I just clicked on the MutaGen button, which took the main editor and sent the parameters of the formula construct down to the MutaGen. So what I want to do now is I want to talk about this strength. All right, all of these probability options are all disabled. I just clicked on, all right, I clicked on disable all. Now, what I want to do is I want to demonstrate this strength. Now, first of all, remember now, if all of these sliders are all the way to the left, the probability is 0. All the way to the right, the probability is the greatest. All right? So, if these sliders are disabled, the strength is not relevant. You can't have a strength to a probability that's 0. All right? Pretty simple. Now, let's do this. Let's modify, let's focus on this one right here. Now, I just turned up the change parameters of formulas. That's the parameters. I just turned that all the way up to the maximum. Now, the strength here, all the way to the right, is maximum strength. All the way to the left is minimum strength. Okay? So here's what it comes down to. This is the probability of formula properties, right here, being changed. And this is the strength or the degree of the change. Let's see if we can demonstrate this. All right, so I'm only looking at the properties right now. We've got a nice simple Mandelbulb here just so that we don't get too confused with too complicated of a formula construct. All right, so I'm going to change this. I'm going to set the strength all the way down to 0. I'm going to mutate this. You see here that I have very little, I have like virtually no changes at all. While I have the probability turned all the way up, I have the strength turned all the way down. Okay? Just take a gander of all these mutations. Basically, there were no mutations. Now, I've got the probability turned all the way up, and I'm going to turn the strength all the way up. Now let's mutate. Now we're starting to see some modifications. Okay? All right, I'm going to take this one right here, and I'm going to send this to the editor, and I just want you to watch the formula here. All right, here we go. Send to main. You see how both of these properties modified. All right. Now, here's what this means. This is the probability that a modification, in this case to the parameters of the formulas, will be modified. And this is the strength or the degree to which those formula, in this case parameters, will be modified. I demonstrated maximum probability, minimum strength. Nothing happened. As a matter of fact, we can see it. Nothing happened. All right, but when I set the strength all the way up, I get some pretty significant mutations. Okay? Now, this strength applies to each of these, the same concept. All right? I can have the Julia mode turned all the way up and the strength all the way down. It won't do anything. Obviously, the Julia mode needs to be enabled. All right, strength, that would do the maximum amount of strength of a Julia mode. Same down here. All right, formula iteration count, maximum strength, minimum strength. Okay, let's disable all. All right. All right, all right, mull on that for a few minutes, and I'll see you back in the next session. I'll see you there.